And let's start the stream. YouTube Live. Refresh. Should say the importance of being earnest. Close.
There we are.
And there we are, my friend. Okay. There we are. There we are. Okay, so let's just bring this down a tiny bit. You're in charge of this, and you're in charge of this. Here's your video. There's your audio. We're on input 2. 1, 2, 3. And
This was not at all like when I was in the West Philly.
okay, and I'm going to lock this down tight so that it is centered. And they don't get any taller than this. So I'm going to make the table right in the center. I'm going to lock it down nice and tight. Okay, that's never going anywhere. All right, can this move? No. Joe? Over there, please, next to Adriana.
Okay. Do I tape the rest of this, or is it good?
You know, I would tape it down a little just to make it right there to make sure people don't trip over this.
Okay.
I was taping it down, but you haven't seen this.
I know, and you know how it is. I believe Trump. Okay, so, and what I'm going to do here, who's that fat old man? What I'm going to do here is I'm basically going to turn this away from you so that you don't see it. I'm going to walk around with it and see how this looks. Okay, click here. Okay, now click back to 2. I just want you to get used to the idea of having something there. Okay, Haley Octoya. Haley.
So good to know that you see beautiful Jen. Input 1. Camera 3, I don't see anyone because there's no one over there.
So that's camera 1.
Yeah. And in camera 1, all I see is beautiful Jen.
Oh yeah.
It's beautiful. I love that man. He's cool.
Can I use that?
Now, if people trip over, it's their fault. So it's like I'm hearing people talk and the past and talk at the same time. It's super
Disoriented?
Focusing on C or C, or pull it back. Stage. Go ahead and practice this. Got some complicated commands here. Basically, Jim. Okay, go play with it. No, let's keep that tape over here with her. Harold, you're a godsend. Thank you, my friend.
Anything else?
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else? Say a prayer. Thank you very much.
I'm ready.
Okay. Did you look up chimpanzees?
Sorry, it's hard to understand.
Did you look up chimpanzees?
Yes.
Okay, get back with me later because everything is being broadcast. So, polite and, you know, remember everything is being broadcast right now.
He's on the internet.
It's on the interwebs. Okay, let me put down a piece of tape right there so that no one accidentally trips on it. We're going to have to come up with a better way of doing this, but you know what? I've seen Hutch's crew, and man, it's an operation. Okay, there we go. Practice moving back and forth. Whose head is that?
That is Jen.
Jim Lagatuda.
Yeah, Jen Lagatuda.
Can we ask for a huge favor, please? Unless the back of your head wants to be on the internet forever.
Let me know when she's not focused on the
Did a
seats.
fine job with that. Very, very nice.
Overnight, I can make them chill.
Is that just on your living room floor?
Huh?
Did you do that at school, or is that at your, not in your apartment for months?
I did it in the little skinny little science lab room behind my room. So like you could never get more than like 5 feet away from it, right?
Or just like camera 1, camera 3, chairs.
Don't have the microchip. Don't exactly have the microchip. Don't have that type of chip.
I'll just focus on this right.
Yeah, towards my goal as always, of making sure that every family in the community that have a picture of their kid in the refrigerator. That's my goal.
Where's the dictate again?
In the basket.
Okay, because I noticed that.
It's okay, please, go ahead. Thank you. Okay, Joe? Is it, are you bubble wrap? Bubble right in the center. Well, actually, it's not the big deal, because we've got 3 cameras. So, it's going to be a look.
So you're running the show now?
Switch to 2. Then she'll see it. Hopefully she'll see it. And right here. Haley, come here, please. Here's what I mean by that. You see we have 2 people sitting in the seat here? So, what this means is that
Hey, Adriana. I just saw you.
righty, so there we go. Okay, now, one, Joe. Oh. Joe, make sure that when you're setting up a shot.
All right, do you see what I mean? Now, by the way, when we're standing up, where's the top of the frame? Is it here or here?
It's a little bit lower.
Okay, here is good. Where's my feet? Can you see them?
Right now, yeah.
Okay, give me a medium close. I want your shot from here up. Can you do that? Mr. Applewhite's got? Hi. Yeah, I know. 60 pounds more of me than when I married my lovely wife.
That's a good deal on her part.
Well, you know what? See, the thing is, she's discovered an old Italian secret that if you keep it down to the well, you can't chase it.
Part of the deal.
The other part of the deal is that. Uh-huh. Can I get you anything else? Practice switching back and forth. Okay, sounds good. God willing, this will work. Okay. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Hi, Ben. Long time no see.
Yes, very recent.
I'm smiling too, man.
And we have, what's impressive is that you watch. Oh, what's impressive? Yeah, help. There you go. So we'll get out the case and then, Lake School District this spring for a class. So I can learn the And are you going to be with me next year again? Yes! Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. We discovered. No, it's okay. It's just. Well, you learn from it. You know, the really good news is
So you guys,
Just fell asleep.
Oh, it's okay. We don't really need it, but yeah, because what I decided is that the problems we're having with feedback came from this. Being picked up on camera and getting into like a severe feedback. Just the brain is and so you should. Before you go back. I like the fact that I'm on the hands on it. I don't know how you feel about that.
I feel accomplished.
It's the worst thing to be a teacher. It's like my hands are
I feel the same. Like I'm in auto, and if I just see my hand just play, I just don't feel like I accomplished anything.
We are broadcasting right now. Let me turn off my phone. Or airplane mode.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We do have a very special addition to the performance tonight. We're working with Mr. Applebeck and the students from the broadcasting class, and they are broadcasting this and live streaming it, which is a little unnerving, you know, to me. So if you would please turn off your phones, we would really appreciate that, or put them in airplane mode so that we don't have any distractions with phones ringing. It's not very 18th century, you know. The play you're seeing tonight is one of the most perfect, considered one of the most perfect comedies in the English language. It was written by Oscar Wilde, who is the second most quoted writer in the English language, the first being William Shakespeare. This is a British comedy. It premiered in the late 1800s, and if you want to read a little more about it, it's in the program, but it's a very popular comedy. It's written, Oscar Wilde was known for his ability to be witty. In the title, it begins with a pun. We all know that the word Ernest also means honesty or truthfulness. And as you see in full, you will notice that there's not one bit of truth in the play. There's not one truthful character. There's not one truthful comment. I do want to thank the people that have helped us get this prepared, and I want to mention Natalie. You can wave. Natalie created this set for us, so you would be transported to an English garden, and I want to thank her for that, because it was a great deal of painting to do backstage for us. And also to Mr. Applebeck's class for doing this live stream for us. Is there anything else? Yes. Oh, you're just waiting? Okay. All right, I'm gonna go get those kids and we'll start.
Are those the cucumber sandwiches cut for Lady Bracknell?
Yes, sir.
Are you of the opinion that this is a suitable display of tea and sandwiches for a marriage engagement?
I believe it is very suitable, sir. Although I've only been married once. That was in consequence of a misunderstanding between myself and a young person.
I don't know that I'm much interested in your family life, Mary.
No, sir. It's not a very interesting subject. I never think of it myself.
Naturally, I'm sure. That'll do, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Mr. Ernest, how are you, old boy?
Algie, my dear, what brings you up to the country?
I've come to return the cigarette case you left in the smoking room. I'm starting down with it. It's yours, isn't it?
It most certainly is. But no need to come all up to the country to return a cigarette case.
I've also decided to accompany my dear Aunt Augusta, because in Gwendolyn that you invited. Surely don't you invite me as well.
I surely never invite you at all.
I know, you're absurdly careless about sending out invitations. The way you flirt with my cousin Gwendolyn is perfectly disgraceful. It's almost about the way Gwendolyn flirts with you. I'm afraid Aunt Augusta will quite approve of you.
I'm in love with Gwendolyn. I invited her up to the country expressly to propose to her.
You behave as if you were married to her already, and I don't think you love me.
Why don't you say that?
I don't give my consent.
Your consent?
I fellow Gwendolyn is my first cousin. Before I allow anyone to marry her, you have to clear up the whole question of Sicily.
Sicily? So that's why you're here.
I couldn't help but notice the inscription in your cigarette case. From those Sicily, with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. Why does your dear niece Sicily call you Uncle Jack when your name is Ernest?
It is a very ungentlemanly thing to read a private cigarette case, but you must know, my name isn't Ernest, it's Jack.
But you've always told me it was Ernest. You answered the name of Ernest. You behave as if your name was Ernest. You're the most earnest-looking person I ever saw in my life.
Well, my name is Ernest in town, Jack in the country.
Aha! I've always suspected you being a confirmed and secret Bunburyist. I'm quite sure now.
What on earth do you mean by Bunburyist?
I'll reveal to you the meaning of that incomparable expression as soon as you're kind enough to inform me why you were Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Old Mr. Thomas Guardian, who adopted me when I was a little boy, made me his will guardian to his granddaughter, Cicely. Cicely, who addressed me as her uncle from motives of respect that you could not possibly appreciate, lived here in the country under the charge of her admirable governess, Miss Prison.
Yes, but why are you Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
As a guardian, one has to adopt a very high moral tone on all subjects. And as a higher moral tone can hardly conduce either one's health or one's happiness, I always pretended to have a younger brother of the name of Ernest, who gets to town and gets the most dreadful scrapes. That, my dear Algie, is the whole truth, pure and simple.
The truth is rarely, never simple. What you really are is a Bunburyist. You're one of the most advanced Bunburyists I know.
What on earth do you mean by Bunburyist?
You have invented a very useful younger brother called Ernest, so that you may be able to come to town whenever you choose. I have invented an invaluable permanent invalid called Bunbury, so that I may be able to leave town whenever I like. Bunbury is perfectly invaluable.
I'm not a Bunburyist at all. If Gwendolyn accepts me, I'm going to kill my brother. Actually, I think I'm going to kill him in any case. Cicely is a little too much interested in him. It is rather bored, so I'm going to get rid of Ernest. And I hope you do the same with the invalid friend who has an absurd name.
Nothing will ever in this thing called Bunbury.
Lady Bracknell and Miss Gwendolyn Fair.
Quickly, set the pot inside, Mary.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, dear Algernon. What a pleasant surprise. I hope you are behaving very well.
I am feeling very well, Aunt Augusta.
That is not quite the same. In fact, the two rarely go together.
Well, aren't you looking smart?
I'm always smart. Am I not, Mr. Worthing?
You're quite perfect, Miss Fairfax.
Oh, how about that? I leave no room for developments, and I intend to develop in many directions.
Mr. Worthing, I'll have a cup of tea and one of those nice cucumber sandwiches you promised me.
Certainly. Mary, why are there no cucumber sandwiches?
Sir?
The cucumber sandwiches!
The pot is inside, sir. I see.
Good heavens! Please escort Lady Bracknell and prepare all the refreshments she so rightfully deserves.
Yes, sir.
Algernon, you can come with me Saturday night's dining?
I'm afraid, Ernest, I shall have to give up the pleasure of dining with you. But the fact is, I just had a telegram to say that my poor friend Bunbury is very ill. They seem to think I should be with him.
This Mr. Bunbury seems to suffer from curiously bad health.
Yes, poor Bunbury is a dreadful invalid.
Well, I think it is high time he decided whether he was going to live or die.
I'll speak to Bunbury at once, Augusta, if he is still conscious.
Thank you, darling. That is very most kind of you. Gwendolyn, join me for sandwiches.
Right behind you, Mother.
Charming day that day, Miss Fairfax.
Don't talk to me about the weather, Mr. Worthing. Whenever people talk to me about the weather, I always feel quite certain it means something else.
I do need something else, and I would like to be allowed to take advantage of Lady Bracknell's temporary absence.
I would certainly advise you to do so.
Miss Fairfax, ever since I met you, I have admired you more than any girl that I have ever met since I met you.
Yes, I'm quite well aware of the fact. I've always longed to love someone named Ernest. There's something that inspires absolute confidence. The moment Algernon first mentioned he had a friend named Ernest, I knew I was destined to love you.
You really love me, Gwendolyn?
Passionately.
John, you don't mean to say you couldn't love me if my name wasn't Ernest?
But your name is Ernest.
Yes, I know it is. But supposing it was something else, I don't think the name suits me at all.
It suits you perfectly. It is a divine name. It has music of its own. It produces vibrations.
Well, really, Gwendolyn? I must say, there are much other nicer names out there, and I think Jack, for instance, is a charming name.
Jack? There's very little music in the name of Jack, if any at all. It does not thrill. It produces absolutely no vibrations. The only name is Ernest.
Gwendolyn, we must get married at once.
Married?
You know that I love you, Miss Fairfax, and you led me to believe that you're not absolutely indifferent to me.
I adore you, but you haven't proposed to me yet.
Well, may I propose to you now?
I think it'd be an admirable idea, Mr. Worthing. But to spare you any possible disappointment, I think it's only fair to tell you quite frankly beforehand. I'm fully determined to accept.
Gwendolyn, will you marry me?
Of course I will, darling. I hope you always look at me just like that, especially when there are other people present.
Mr. Warren, rise from that posture. It is most indecent. Gwendolyn, what's the meaning of this?
I'm engaged to Francis, but
You are nothing of the kind. When you do become engaged, your father, or I, should his health permit it, will inform you of the fact. Now, Mr. Worthing, I have a few questions I'd like to put to you. Gwendolyn, wait for me in the carriage. In the carriage! Mr. Worthing, I feel bound to tell you that you are not on my list of eligible young men. However, I am willing to add you, should your answers be what your really affectionate mother requires. How old are you?
29.
Ah, 29. Very good age to be married. I have always been of the opinion that a man who is going to get married should either know everything or nothing. Which do you know?
I know nothing, Lady Bracknell.
Ah, I'm glad to hear it. I do not like anything that interferes with natural ignorance. Ignorance is like a delicate fruit. Touch it, and the bloom is gone. Are your parents living?
I have lost both my parents.
Lost both your parents. To lose one parent would be misfortune. To lose both would seem like carelessness. Who was your father?
I said I had lost both my parents. It would be nearer the truth to say my parents have seemed to lost me. I don't actually know who I'm by birth, but well, I was found.
Found?
Old Mr. Thomas Carter, an old gentleman of a very charitable and kindly disposition, gave me the name of Worthing, and he happened to have a ticket for the town at the time in an old railway station.
Where did the charitable gentleman with the ticket find you?
In a handbag.
A handbag?
Yes, Lady Bracknell. I was found in a handbag, a somewhat large, ordinary handbag, with handles to it in fact. It was given to him in mistake for his own.
Mr. Worthing, to be born, or rather bred in a handbag, whether it had handles or not, seems to me to be a display of contempt for the ordinary decencies of family life.
What would you advise me to do?
Well, I would advise you, Mr. Worthing, to find at least one parent of either sex before the season is over.
I can produce the handbag at any given moment now, Lady Bracknell. It is in my cloakroom. I really think that should satisfy you.
Me? What has it got to do with me, sir? You can hardly imagine that I, or Lord Bracknell, would ever imagine aligning our daughter, our only daughter, brought up with the utmost of care, to be aligned to a person with a handbag, or form an alliance with a parcel.
Didn't it go off all right, boy? Nobody say Gwendolyn refused you.
As far as she is concerned, we are engaged. Her mother is perfectly unbearable, but I shouldn't talk to your own aunt that way before you.
I love hearing my relations abused. It's the only thing that makes me put up with them at all. Relations are simply a tedious pack of people who don't have the slightest idea of how to live, nor the remotest idea of when to die.
You don't think there's any chance of Gwendolyn becoming like your mother in about 150 years, do you, Algy?
All women become like their mothers. That's their tragedy. No man does, that's his. So just tell Gwendolyn about you being Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
I'll say my poor brother Ernest died in Paris of a severe chill.
But I thought you said Cicely was a bit too much interested in him. Won't she feel his loss a great deal?
Well, that's all right. Cicely is not a silly romantic girl. She has a capital appetite, goes for long walks, and pays no attention at all to her lessons.
I would rather like to see Cicely.
I'll take good care you never do. She is excessively pretty, and she's just only 18.
Does Gwendolyn know that you have an excessively pretty ward who is only just 18?
One doesn't just blurt things out to people. Cicely and Gwendolyn, without a doubt, be calling each other sister.
Women only do that when they call each other a lot of other things first.
Well, if you'll excuse me, dear boy, I must cast my darling Gwendolyn before a beast of a mother drags her back to the city.
Thank you, dear Cecily.
I wish Uncle Jack would allow his poor, unfortunate brother Ernest to go out to the country sometime. We might have a good influence on him. I'm sure you certainly would, Miss Prism.
I don't think even I could produce any effect on a character according to his own brother's definition is irretrievably weak and vacillating. Besides, I'm not into the man trying to turn bad people into good people at a moment's notice. As a man sows, so let him reap. I don't see why you could die at all, Cecily.
In order to enter the wonderful secrets of my life, if I did write them down, I would surely forget all about them.
Memory, my dear Cecily, is a diary that we all carry about with us.
Yes, but it usually chronicles the things that never happened, that couldn't possibly have happened.
These speculations are pointless. I think I will continue to have a stroll. I find I have a headache and will enter the news.
Mr. Ernest Worthing has arrived.
Mr. Ernest Worthing? Uncle Jack's brother?
Yes, sir. He said he was anxious to speak to you quietly for a moment.
I've never met a really wicked person before. Tell Mr. Ernest Worthing to come in at once.
Yes.
You must be my little cousin Cicely.
You are under some grave misconception. I am not little. I believe I am more than usually tall for my age. But I am your cousin Cecily, and you are my excusable manner. I hope you've not been pretending to be bad and being good all along. That would be hypocrisy.
I suppose I've been very bad in my own small way.
Well, you shouldn't be so proud of it, although I'm sure it must have been very pleasant.
It's much pleasanter being here with you.
I know Uncle Jack wishes to speak to you about your emigrating.
But my what?
You're emigrating. Uncle Jack is sending you to Australia.
Australia? I'd sooner die.
Well, he said you'd have to choose between this world, the next world, and Australia.
The accounts I've received in Australia and the next world are not particularly encouraging. This world is good enough for me, Cicely.
Yes, but are you good enough for it?
I'm afraid not. That's why I want you to inform me.
I'm sorry, but I have no time this afternoon.
Well, would you mind my reforming myself this afternoon?
I think you should try.
I feel better already.
You are looking a little worse.
That's because I'm hungry.
Oh, how thoughtless of me. I'd forgotten that when one is going to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals. Won't you come in?
Thank you. You're the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism says all good looks are a snare.
They're a snare that every sensible man would like to be caught in.
Oh, I don't think I would care to get a sensible man. I should have known to talk to him about.
Mr. Worthing, why are you dressed in that manner? I trust this type of woe does not betoken some terrible calamity.
My brother,
More shameful debts and extravagance?
dead,
Your brother Ernest, dead?
quite dead.
I offer you my sincere condolence. You have at least the consolation of knowing that you were always the most generous and forgiving of brothers.
He had many faults, but it is a sad, sad blow.
Very sad indeed. Were you with him in the end?
No, he died abroad in Paris, in fact. I just received a telegram from the Grand Hotel.
Was the cause of death mentioned?
A severe chill, it seems.
As the man goes, so let him breathe. Your brother was, I believe, unmarried, was he not?
Oh yes, quite.
People who live entirely for pleasure usually are. I beg you not to be too much bound down by grief. What seems to us bitter trials are often blessings in disguise, and this seems to me a blessing of an extremely obvious kind.
Uncle Jack! Oh, am I pleased to see you. But what horrid clothes you've got on. Do go and change them at once. You'll never believe who's in the dining room. Your brother.
Who?
Your brother, Ernest. He arrived just a few minutes ago.
What nonsense! I haven't got a brother.
Oh, don't say that. However badly he may have behaved to you in the past, he is still your brother. You couldn't be so heartless as to disown him. I'll come and tell him at once, and he will come in and you will shake hands with him. Won't you, Uncle Jack?
My brother is in the dining room.
After all we have been resigned to his loss, his sudden return to me seems particularly distressing.
I don't know what this all means. I find it perfectly absurd.
Good heavens! Brother Jack! I've come to tell you that I reform myself and intend to lead a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack, you're not going to refuse your own brother's hand, are you?
Nothing will ever induce me to shake his hand.
Uncle Jack, do be nice. There is some good in everyone. Ernest has just been telling me about his poor, unfortunate friend Mr. Bunbury, who he goes to visit so often. And surely there is much good in someone who is kind to an invalid and leaves the pleasures of town to sit by a bed of pain.
Bunbury? I shouldn't have to talk about Bunbury or about anything else. It is enough to drive one perfectly frantic.
I must say that I find Jack's coldness to be particularly painful.
Uncle Jack, if you don't shake hands with Ernest, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive me.
Never, never, never.
Well, this is the last time I shall ever do it.
It's perfect, is it not, to see a perfect reconciliation? I think we must leave the two brothers together. Cecily, come with me.
Certainly, Miss Prism. My little task of reconciliation is done. I feel very happy.
Algie, you young scoundrel, you must get out of this place as soon as possible. I don't allow any Bunbury here. Mary, order the carriage at once. Mr. Moncrief has been suddenly called back to town.
Yes, sir.
I've not been called back to town at all.
Your duty as a gentleman calls you back.
My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pleasures in this false degree. Cecily's a darling.
You're not to talk about Sicily like that. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. It's very hard to see in mourning for a man who's standing right in front of you.
I demand that you leave this instant.
I certainly won't leave you as long as you're in mourning.
Will you go if I change my clothes?
If you don't take too long. I've never seen someone take so long to dress, which has literally so.
Well, it's better than always being overdressed as you are.
If I am occasionally a little overdressed, I make up for it by being immensely overeducated.
Your vanity is ridiculous. Your conduct is outrage. Your presence in my garden is utterly absurd. However, you must catch the 4-5. I hope you have a pleasant journey back. This Bunburying, as you call it, has not been a great success for you. Mary, the carriage!
Oh, what you with Uncle Jack?
No, he's going to send me away.
Then have we got to part?
I'm afraid so. It's a very painful burden.
The carriage is at the door, sir.
It can wait, Merriman, for 5 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Cicely, I hope I shall not offend you if I say quite frankly and openly that you seem to me to be in every way the visible personification of absolute perfection.
I think your frankness does you great credit. Ernest, if you do not mind, I will copy your remarks down in my diary. Oh no, it's private and only meant for publication. When it appears in volume form, I hope you will purchase a copy. But pray, Ernest, don't stop. I've reached absolute perfection. I am quite ready for more.
Cicely, ever since I first looked upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I have dared to love you wildly, hopelessly, passionately, devotedly.
I don't think you should tell me you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it?
The carriage is waiting, sir.
Tell her to come around next week at the same hour. Cicely, you will marry me, won't you?
Of course. Why, we have been engaged for the last 3 months.
For the last 3 months?
Yes. It will be exactly 3 months this Thursday.
But how did we become engaged?
Well, ever since Uncle Jack confessed to us that he had another brother who was very wicked and bad, you formed chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism. And as a man who's always talked about, is of course very attractive. I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with him. And
Darling. And when was the engagement actually settled?
on the 14th of February last, worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I was determined to end the matter one way or another. And after long deliberation, I accepted you. And this dear old tree here, it has always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone with the name of Ernest. There was something in that name that inspired absolute confidence. I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Ernest.
But darling, you don't mean to say you couldn't love me for some other name, like Algernon, perhaps?
But I don't like the name of Algernon.
My dear, sweet, loving little darling. I don't see why you should reject the name of Algernon. If my name was Algernon, couldn't you love me?
I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character, but I'm afraid I would not be able to give you my undivided attention.
I must speak to my brother John at once to speak about this most important business.
Considering that we've been engaged since the 14th of February last, and only today did we meet for the first time, I find it rather heartless that you should leave me.
I'll be back in no time.
Miss Fairfax is looking for Miss Wood. On very important business, Miss Fairfax says.
Mr. Worthing is sure to be back soon. Tell Miss Fairfax she can come in right away, and you can bring tea.
Yes,
Please let me introduce myself. My name is Sister Cardew.
Cicely Cardew, what a very sweet name. Something tells me we're going to be great friends. You are here on a short visit, I suppose.
Oh no, I live here.
Really? Your mother, no doubt, has some female relative of advanced years resides here also.
I have no mother, nor in fact any relations. My dear guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I am Mr. Worthing's ward.
Oh, it is strange. You never mentioned to me that ward. How secret of him. He grows more interesting hourly. However, this news fills me with unmixed feelings of delight. I'm very fond of you, Cicely. I've liked you ever since I met you. But now that I know you're Mr. Worthing's ward, I cannot help expressing a wish you were just a little older than you seem to be. Not quite so very good in appearance. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He is the very soul of truth and honor. Disloyalty would be as possible to him as deception. Is that the
I
mistake?
beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest?
Yes?
It is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned to me that a brother.
I'm afraid to say they've not been on good terms for a long time.
Ah, that accounts for it. It would have been terrible if any cloud had come across a country like ours, would it not?
Dearest Gwendolyn, I find no reason I should make it a secret to you. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cicely, I think there must be some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me.
You must be under some great misconception. Ernest proposed to me exactly 2.5 minutes ago.
It is certainly very curious, for he asked me to be his wife this afternoon at 5:32. If you care to verify the incident, pray to do so. I'm sorry, dear Cicely. If it is any disappointment to you, but I'm afraid I have to file a claim.
Well, since Ernest proposed to me, he's surely changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been entrapped to any foolish promise, I shall consider it my duty to rescue him at once with a firm hand.
Do you suggest that I entrapped Ernest in an engagement? How dare you! Yes, as usual. May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you.
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar's not fashionable anymore.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter. Cake is rarely seen at the best houses nowadays.
That to Miss Fairfax.
You filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I asked most distinctly for bread and butter, you've given me cake. I'm known for the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature. But I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy from the machinations of any other young girl, there are no lengths to which I would not go.
put such an idea into your pretty little head.
Thank you. You may kiss me now.
I knew there must be some grave misconception. The man whose arm is currently around your waist is my guardian, Mr. John Worthing.
Is it Jack? Oh,
Yes, this is Uncle Jack. Here is Ernest.
My own brother.
A moment, Ernest. Are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To what young lady? Good heavens, Gwendolyn? Of course not. What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you, you nag.
I felt there was some slight error, Miss Cardew. The gentleman who's now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Algernon Moncrief? Oh! Are you called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Is your name really Jack?
I could deny it if I liked, but I won't. It certainly is Jack. It has been Jack for years.
Gross deception has been practiced on both of us.
My poor wounded Cicely.
My sweet, wronged Gwendolyn.
You will call me sister, will you not?
Certainly. But there is one question I would like to be allowed to put to my guardian.
An admirable idea, Miss Worthing. What explanation can you offer? Sorry. What were you thinking of having, brother? Was it in order that you could come to town as often as possible?
Gwendolyn, Cicely, it is very painful for me to tell the truth. And for the first time in my life that I have ever been reduced to such a painful position, I am very inexperienced of doing anything of the kind. However, I will tell you quite frankly that I have no brother, Ernest. I have no brother at all. And I certainly don't have a brother of any kind.
No brother at all?
None.
Had you never had a brother of any kind?
Not even of any kind.
I'm afraid it is quite clear that we are not engaged to anyone.
No, it's not a very pleasant position for a young girl to suddenly find herself in, is it?
Let us go into the house. They will hardly venture to come after us there.
No, men are so cowardly, aren't
This ghastly state of things is what you call bun-burning, I suppose.
Yes, it would be wonderful. Bunbury is the most wonderful bun I've ever had in my life.
Well, you've no right whatsoever to Bunbury here.
That's absurd. One doesn't right to Bunbury here. Well, anywhere one chooses. Every serious Bunbury knows that.
Serious Bunburyers? Good heavens! I say you're taking in a sweet, simple, innocent girl like Cicely is quite inexcusable.
Well, I say,
nothing
that's
infectious on the
words
board.
at all for you to see a brilliant, clever, thoroughly experienced young lady like Miss Fairfax. To say nothing of the fact that she's my cousin.
I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolyn. That is all. I love her.
Well, I simply want to be engaged to Cicely. I adore her.
There's no chance of you marrying Miss Cardew.
Well, I can see no possible chance at all of you being united with Miss Fairfax.
How can you sit there, calmly eating muffins, while we are in this horrible trouble? I can't make up. You seem perfectly heartless.
Well, one can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. The butter would probably get on my cups. One should always eat muffins quite calmly. It's the only way to eat them.
That is no reason why you should eat them all in that greedy way.
When I am in trouble, eating is the only thing that consoles me. Besides, I'm particularly fond of muffins.
I say it's perfectly heartless to eating muffins at all, under the circumstances.
When I'm in trouble, eating is the only thing that consoles me. I wish we have to pay. I don't like it.
Good heavens! I say a man made his own muffins in his own garden.
But you just said it was appropriate to harmless eating muffins.
I said it's perfectly heartless of you, under the circumstances. That is a very different thing.
Don't make me remind me of the same. There are only two left. I told you I'm particularly fond of muffins.
Algernon, I already told you to go. I don't want you here. Why don't you go?
dainty muffins. That looks like repentance.
Mr. Worthy, I have something very particular to ask you. Much depends on your reply.
Gwendolyn, your common sense is invaluable. Mr. Moncrief, kindly answer the following question. Why did you pretend to be my guardian's brother?
So that I might have an opportunity of meeting.
This answer certainly seems satisfactory, does it not?
Yes, dear, if you can, believe it.
Oh, I can't. But that does not dispute the wonderful beauty of the answer.
Mr. Worthy, what explanation can you offer for pretending to have a brother? Was it in order that you can come into town seem as often as possible?
Could you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
I have the greatest doubts upon the subject, but I intend to crush them. The answers appear to be quite satisfactory, especially Mr. Worthy's. It seems to show that they have some sense of shame left.
I understand the truth. Mr. Moncrief has an answer that I am quite satisfactory with. Good, I suppose.
Then you think we should forgive them?
Yes, I mean no.
True, I've forgotten there are principles at stake that one cannot surrender. Which of us should forgive them?
I don't think we should forgive them at all. Just tell them that.
Should we not speak at the same time?
That's a good idea. I nearly always speak at the same time as other people. Will you take time from me?
Yes.
Your given names are still an insuperable barrier. That is all.
Our names? Is that all? We can change them.
You would do that?
Of course, we hate our names. Anything for you.
Darling.
Darling.
Lady Bracknell.
Good heavens!
Gwendolyn, what is the meaning of this?
Merely that I'm engaged to marry Mr. Worthy, Mamma.
You are nothing of the kind. Mr. Worthy, who is that young man? Who is that young man who's holding my nephew's hand in what seems to be a most particularly unnecessary manner?
That, Lady Bracknell, is Cicely Carter, my ward.
We're engaged to be married.
Well, Algernon, is it in this house that your friend Mr. Bunbury resides?
No, that's what we're saying.
Dead? When did he die? Oh, his death must have been extremely sudden.
Oh, I killed Miss Bunbury Bunbury died.
Oh, well, he seems to have had great confidence in the opinion of his physicians. I am glad that he had finally decided on a proper course of action after getting proper medical advice. Now, who is this young woman that my nephew's hand is holding?
My name is Cicely Cardew, Lady Bracknell.
Cicely Cardew. You engaged to be married?
Yes, miss.
Oh, my. The number of engagements seems to be quite on the proper average. Well, now, I guess I'd better ask, does this Miss Cardew have anything to do with any of the larger railway stations in London? I merely seek information.
I have in my possession, you will be pleased to hear, Lady Bracknell, certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptism, whooping cough, vaccination, registration, and the measles. Both the German and English variety.
Oh, a life proud with instinct. I do not approve of premature experiences. Now, Gwendolyn, I believe it is time for us to leave. Yes. But, Mr. Worthy, does Miss Cardew have any small fortune?
Oh, only about 130,000 pounds in the bank. That is all, Lady Bracknell. Goodbye. So pleased to see you.
Well, Miss Cardew seems to have a lovely profile now that I look at her. There are so few girls Algernon, I see distinct social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile.
Cicely's the sweetest, prettiest girl I ever saw. And I don't care a cent about social possibilities.
Algernon, don't say that about society. Only people who can't get into it say that. Well, I guess I must give my consent. Cecily, you might kiss me.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
I think the marriage had better happen rather quickly. I'm not fond of long engagements. It gives people the opportunity of getting to know each other's character before marriage. That is not something I would advise.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you, Lady Bracknell, but this engagement is quite out of the question. I am Miss Cardew's guardian, and she cannot marry without my consent until she comes of age, and that consent I surely decline to give.
Upon what grounds? My nephew, Algernon, is an extremely, I may say ostentatiously eligible young man. He has nothing, but looks everything. What more could one desire?
I do not approve at all of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful? My nephew? Algernon? Impossible.
I fear there can be no possible doubt about the matter. This afternoon, in his disgraceful deception, he devoured every single muffin, and he was well aware of the fact that I have no brother, and I don't have a brother at all, not even of any kind.
Well, I would beg you to reconsider.
But my dear Lady Bracknell, this engagement is entirely in your own hands. The moment you consent to my marriage with Gwendolyn, I will allow your nephew to form an alliance with my ward.
That, Mr. Worthing, you must understand, is quite out of the question.
Then a passionate celibacy is all that any of us can look forward to.
That, Mr. Worthing, is not a destiny I would wish for Gwendolyn. Algernon may choose for himself. Well, Gwendolyn, we must leave now. We have missed 4, if not 5 trains. To miss more would leave us open for comment on the platform. Oh, Cecily, there you are. Prison! Miss Prison! Come back here. Sit down. Miss Prism, 28 years ago, you left Lord Bracknell's house with a perambulator with a child of the male sex in it. You never returned. After an exhaustive search from the police department, the perambulator was found in a remote alley. The baby was not in it. Where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I admit wishing that I do not know. I only wish I did. But the plain facts of the case are on these. On the morning of the day that you mentioned, a day that will forever branded in my memory, I had as usual to take the baby out on this perambulator. I also have with me a small, but capacious handbag. In a moment of a mental abstraction, for which I can never forgive myself, I placed the baby in the handbag and I left it in the coat room of a larger railway station in London.
What? What railway station?
Victoria, the Brighton line.
I must retire to my room for a moment. Gwendolyn, wait here for me.
If you are not too long, I will wait here for you all my life.
Lady Bracknell, what could all this mean? I don't have to tell you, darling, but in families of high society, strange occurrences are not supposed to happen.
Is this the handbag you placed in it? Examine it carefully before you speak. More than one's happiness depends on your answer.
It appears to be mine. Oh, yes. Here on my initials. I forgot an extravagant look that I have had in place there. I'm delighted to have it so suddenly returned. It has been a great inconvenience me without it all these years.
Miss Prism, more if you store it to you than this handbag. How was the baby you placed in it?
You?
Yes, Mother!
Mr. Crowley! I am unmarried.
I forgive you, Mother!
Mr. Crowley! There's the lady who can tell you who you really are.
Lady Bracknell, would you kindly inform me who I am? Let me know first.
Well, the information I have to give you may not altogether please you. You are the son of my dear son, my dear sister, Mrs. Moncrief, and therefore you are Algernon's elder brother.
Algy's elder brother? Then I have a brother after all. Cicely, how could you ever doubt that I had a brother? I always said I had a brother. Algy, you never treated me with more respect. You ought to treat me like a brother.
Well, not tell me that, old boy, I meant. I'll have to practice.
My love, what is your given name now that you become someone else?
I quite forgotten about that point. Your subject on my name is irrevocable.
I never change except in my affections.
What a noble nature you have, Gwendolyn.
Algy, what was our father's name?
My dear boy, we were never even on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old.
Aunt Augusta, at the time when I was left in that handbag, what name was I given?
Well, naturally you were the eldest son, so you were given your father's name.
Yes, but what was his name?
Oh, now I remember. His name was Ernest John. I knew that I had some particular reason for disliking that name.
Ernest John. Gwendolyn, I always told you it was Ernest, didn't I? I mean, it naturally is Ernest.
Ernest, my own Ernest. I thought from the first you could have no other name.
Gwendolyn, it is very painful for a man to find out that all his life he was speaking nothing but the truth. Can you forgive me?
I can, for Emilio should change.
My love. Cicely, at last! Gwendolyn, at last!
Oh, my nephews. I fear you are speaking in trivialities.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, I finally found the vital importance of being honest.
We began our International Thespian Society a few years ago, and each year one student is given the Honor Thespian Award. And I'm very pleased to present that to a very deserving young lady who is with us. If you'll excuse me for 1 second, I will go and fetch it. It's hard to bring it on stage. Milo was going to look in there and see what it was, he says. So I would like to give this to Miss Emily Harry. I do want to say that because we had COVID complications of every kind, Emily, who is not in the class with us, we've all been in class, also Ida was not in the class, we conscripted her to be with us, but Emily picked up about 2 weeks ago and became Miss Prism. Prism for us, and Ida became Cecily. So we had to do some tap dancing and quick changing, and all has worked out well. But I do want to very much honor and congratulate Miss Emily Carey for being the outstanding thespian, because she really did stepped in when we really needed her, and she worked very hard, and we're very happy with that. So. I also want to thank your patience for working with us here in the gym. I know the acoustics are not fantastic, and next year we'll be back in the little gym with new curtains and new lighting capabilities and possibly new sound. So, but we have made it through this year, and we're very happy to have been able to present this. We're really, really thrilled. I made the students in this class do this. I said, hey, you know, we could do a play. And they were all like, oh, okay. Whatever that crazy lady's talking about. So I'm really proud of them, because they didn't really know what they were getting into. And they had to memorize 35 pages of text. And so they worked very hard, and really only Ida and myself and Emily really had done theater before. And I think that Preston, quit hiding. I think that these other kids, and I also want to thank Sharon Dalila, she's also in class, and Sharon's become an amazing stage manager for us and assistant director. Themselves into, and I think they've done a fantastic job. So I'd like you to give them all another round of applause for